Much better. Every little bit helps. My name's Wilhelm Merg. This is the Wilhelm channel. For whatever reason, it seems to be a hodgepodge of whatever I come up with. I notice people are putting a lot of pointless lists and these are records that inspired me, and oh my god, you like Boston. Well, we're sporting the Johnny Cash and the King shirt today. We ain't screwing around. Uh, and so I decided to do my entire record collection bit by bit. This is part two of seven of every 45 I own. And if you want to know what I think is good music, well, stay tuned. Uh, for historic reasons, or to place this somewhere in history, uh, it's the first weekend of May 2020. I am coming to you from the coronavirus. We are still on lockdown, more or less. Uh, Armed protesters with Nazi flags and Confederate flags are all over some of the cities, going on about needing their right back to get their hair coloring done or whatever it is. Quite frankly, outside of hair salons, nail salons, massage parlors, and I guess record stores, I can't think of anything else that isn't an essential uh, business. I mean, my comic book store is still going. I'm going to touch my face. Um, so, that's what's going on at the moment. We're all hoping we stay safe. Polls are showing 70% of Americans think that we need to keep doing what we're doing because that's kind of kept us from, anything really bad happening. I'm no longer shaving because I run around in a mask like I'm robbing a bank. So, box number two. These are archive boxes for records. As you can see, this is Buckinghams to D. Yeah. And that's because we just couldn't get all the B's into the first box. So Brownsville Station was the end spot, and we're going to start off with the Buckinghams. This is an interesting record. So the Buckinghams, I believe they did kind of a drag or something like that. Anyway, they were one of those great pop bands from the '60s, and they put out this record, Susan. I'm not sure I have the correct sleeve on that or not, but yeah, Susan, backed with Foreign Policy. And what makes Susan an interesting record is in the middle of it, they took Charles Ives' Central Park After Dark. Now, I should have gotten that record out. But if you don't know who Charles Ives is, he's an American composer, a little eccentric at times. And Charles did some music that was downright atonal back in the early part of the 20th century. Bernstein, Copeland, and other great American composers have championed him since then. Definitely a major figure in the avant-garde. Cage, spoke highly of him. And he did Central Park in the Dark, and it's for two orchestras. And at one point, it's supposed to sound like two marching bands colliding as they cross paths in Central Park, at night or in an evening. We're talking about early 20th century, before television, when people would go out to see bandstand music. And in the middle of Susan, this rather poppy song by the Buckinghams, they throw in Central Park and After Dark, and there's this, calliope in the middle of it that suddenly breaks out after the Charles Ives section is over with. The Buckinghams hated it. A lot of Buckinghams fans hate it. Personally, it's the only goddamn thing by the Buckinghams I care about. But the B-side, Foreign Policy, actually, I think that has, I forget if it's JFK or Martin Luther King, but it has someone sampled against their will. Here we go. Video Killed the Radio Star, Buggles. I bought this in 79 uh, at Peaches in Tulsa. That's the one the most prophetic song of that era. No, by Bulldog. This one was little boom, bum, 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 kind of putt-putt songs that were popular in the kind of post-McCartney 70s, I guess we would say. Making sure I'm not putting these in the wrong order. This is a from Claremore, Oklahoma, Relative Records, 2307 Ridgeway Lane, Claremore, Oklahoma 74017. I live in, and the company is the Eula Joy, ULA Joy, record company out of Pryor, Oklahoma, 74361. This is Let Me Be There, the Olivia Newton-John song, by Glenn Bunton with Delight. I take it Delight is the band. It's not that Glenn was necessarily, I'm sure he was delighted to get the record out. But, excuse me, if you, as many of you know, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Claremore is just like 20 miles that way. And it's a really bad Elvis impersonator doing the, let me be there in the morning, kind of stuff. Original picture sleeve, Spill the Wine, Eric Burden and War. Yes, that War. Used very beautifully in Boogie Nights. Now I have a bunch of Kate Bush stuff, and I have an obsession with Kate Bush. Basically, when I was, like most Americans, I discovered her on Saturday Night Live when she appeared on the Eric Idle episode. I think that was 78. That was her one American visit, her one tour off the first album, and I think her first four albums are, some of my favorite albums of all time. And after that, they get a little sketchy, and now, it's nice to see Kate putting stuff out, but I don't listen to it. However, as I understand it, this is a rare record. This is the Breathing, and this is like the French cover, which is totally different from any other. And this, 1980, bought this at Starship Records here in Tulsa. The rest of these are not as valuable, but, they're Bambushka, British single. They all, it actually has a hole in it. That might not be British now that I look at it. Well, it's in French, so we'll say French possibly. There, that actually has the hole filled in. I'm an American. This is December Will Be Magic Again and Warm and Soothing, 1980 Christmas single put out by Kate. Army Dreamers, backed with something rare. What is it? Backed with something rare. What is it? Delius and Passing Through Air. And Passing Through Air, I believe, is only available on this. There goes a tenor with something on the back. Let's see. It's been a while since I've dug through these, and now you can buy, oh God, it's French. Nitin, something like that. I used to hang out with a French teacher who constantly laughed at my French, and used to hang out with Delacorte, another Sat in Your Lap. Single came out before the album that it's on, Never Forever. B-side is Lord of the Reedy River, Donovan song. The Dreaming, and the flip side has Dreamtime, an instrumental version of it. Here we go. When I talk about psychedelic art, I think this is one of the first big impressions that I got, along with like Steve Miller's Brave New World and album and something like that. This is a Scholastic record, in America, Scholastic put out books. I don't know how much of that reads very well. Um, Columbia Special Products, yeah, Scholastic Records. And it's four songs by the Byrds. Lover of the Bayou, So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, Going Back, and Chimes of Freedom verses 1, 5, and 6. Dylan. And yeah, this is something that I think they found a stack of them in the warehouse. Scholastic Books, I don't know if they're still around or not, but when I was a child, uh, you would get these things in class and take them home and get your parents to sign off on you buying X amount of books. Your parents would send a check or money order or cash or whatever, and they would be sent off, and you would get books through school. And this was a record that came out by the art and the fact that it's the Byrds. I want to say probably circa 1970 or something. It was probably 74 when I got this, and way out of date. But it's just kind of cool to get a record through school. Now I'm told it's exceptionally rare. Uh, this is Edward Burns from 77 Sunset Strip with Connie Stevens, the actress. We all know Kooky Kooky, Give Me Your Comb on a pink uh, uh, Warner Brothers label. And High Fidelity, yeah. I don't think that's a promo. Here we go. John Cage, Sun Ra. Cage Meets Sun Ra, 1987. This is a 7-inch with a DVD. This is a Record Store Day version that came out in 2019. Yep. Hang on. Clear vinyl. Opaque clear vinyl. And yeah, Sun Ra pounds around on a keyboard at one point, and Cage. This is during that period where Cage was going silent or doing nonsense like Muois and Thoreau and stuff like that. So I don't remember it making a hell of a lot of sense, but it was the medium of the two, the great avant-garde jazz and the great avant-garde classical minds. What have we got here? Yeah, this is one of those novelty records I just bought to see what the hell it is. It's, what is this? Feet Baroque Records, August Campbell and the Spur of the Moment Band, the I-95 Asshole Song. I don't, I've heard it, unlike you. This is a 1988 reissue, actually. It's a 1983 record. And Flat Baroque, that's the name of it. I'm sorry, I misread that. Flat, not feet. Flat Baroque. And I found it somewhere and bought it, and it's in my collection. That's all I can tell you about it. I don't even remember what it sounds like. Here we go, Wichita Lineman. Once again, not sure if that's the right cover. Glenn Campbell with Fate of Man on the back. Recently heard Glenn Campbell's version of Jesus, the Lou Reed song from the Velvet Underground album, and that was really amazing because you take, Lou Reed's using Jesus as a metaphor for salvation, redemption, or whatever, in a almost cynical way, and to hear, Glenn Campbell, a man of faith, turn this into, a plea or a prayer. It's really an amazing arrangement, amazing recording. Only Glenn Campbell could take a Lou Reed song and turn it into a hymn. Let's see, Going Up the Country, and One Kind Favor. Yeah, obviously, Canned Heat, very psychedelic, beautiful little cover. This is Let's Work Together by Canned Heat, and it's on the, what is this, United Artists Silver Spotlight Series reissue, and I actually have the cover for it. So that's kind of neat. And so let's work together and going up the country on one album, or on one single. The original Love Will Keep Us Together, Captain and Tennille, Gentle Stranger, Sadaka Was Back, another Captain Tennille. I like Captain. I like these two songs. The Way That I Want to Touch You, and No Telling What's on the Flip. But anyway, yeah. I have no shame. I have no fear. I have no guilty pleasures. At heart, I'm an American artist, and I have no guilt. Captain Beefheart. This is a Sunday's double EP of Diddy Wah Diddy. Who Do You Think You're Foolin'? Moonchild, Frying Pan. Came out, I don't know, in the last 8 years ago or so for Record Store Day. And just a cool little double set. I think there were like 3 sets that came out all together. 3 different Record Store Days, and I only have one. And excuse me. More Love, Ken Carnes. I was actually at the Friday's taping with Ken Carnes, and that sounded awesome. I bought that 45, and I really liked the 45. Betty Davis Eyes, the other Ken Carnes record. Original picture sleeve. I bought this when it came out. Ballad of the Teenage Queen, Johnny Cash with Big River. And if I remember correctly, one side has a big gash, and I think it's Ballad of the Teenage Queen. But I got this for like $1, and from what I understand, the cover is worth far more than $1 alone. The Lurch by Ted Cassidy, best known for The Addams Family, the You Rang guy on The Addams Family. And Ted Cassidy was a huge guy. He was in a lot of different films. I just saw him in The Patsy with Jerry Lewis. He put this out where it's like a dance song where he's doing the Lurch's voice throughout the whole thing, the irony being the slow-talking guy with a dance song. And they were supposed to put out the picture sleeve for Record Store Day this year, and they didn't do it. They're supposed to have it next month. As I keep saying, I don't know about anyone else, but I ain't interested in being butt to nut with a bunch of other people trying to, look for records. This whole coronavirus thing has me a little freaked out, and I don't think I'm quite ready to do that, even within the next 60 days. Distancing through a record store, I can do, but yeah, I ain't fighting people for records. It's an animal. Liar Liar Castaways on the Soma label, and it's got a whole, I don't know if it's coming through, but yeah, right there's the whole. And I believe this is a reissue. I have, do I have the Castaways album? No, I don't, but yeah. If you're a fan of Nuggets, that's on the Nuggets label. It's a really freaky video. If you ever get to see it, it's from one of those beach movies that does not, include a net. And really freaky. They're in like a monster's mouth or skull mouth, if I remember correctly, as they're playing at the stage. Is like strange head. This is my original copy of Duke of Earl that I bought in the 80s. Gene Chandler on Collectible Records with the original sleeve. Bought that at Lee's Records out in West Tulsa, which was, if you're going to buy 50s records, that was a good place to buy them. Pipeline, Shantae's, one of the greatest records ever made. Awesome surf music. Harry Chapin, Cat in the Cradle, and I don't know that I was that big of a fan of Cat in the Cradle, but I had this cover. And I think originally I had a Bread album, a Bread single, like Baby I'ma Want You or something came in this, but the single got away from me, but I still had this cover and I saw this Cats in the Cradle and like, good enough, let's match these up, Frankenstein this thing together. Then we have a bunch of Cheech and Chong. An enormous amount of Cheech and Chong. I'm a big fan of Cheech and Chong. I've seen them live twice. I've seen Tommy Chong solo also. and have all the albums. Just really have always been a big fan all my life of Cheech and Chong ever since I discovered them when I was like 12 or something. Uh, Christmas single 1971, Santa Claus and His Old Lady, with Dave on the back. Dave's not here, but and that's when you'll hear. You used to hear it around Christmas time. I don't know if anyone's playing it on the radio. I think all they're doing is Tony Bennett crap. Basketball Jones. I love this song with a passion. Original single with all the graffiti like names written on it. I spent my summer vacation, and the back is how I spent my summer vacation or a day on the beach with Pedro and Man Part 2. And I know Part 1 ended up on the double CD set of Cheech and Chong that came out in the 90s, but I don't know that Part 2 ever has, so I'm not sure. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or something, but yeah, I don't know about an official release at the moment. And then we have Blowed On featuring the Bloaters, Cheech and Chong, a satire of the Floaters, Float On. And if you don't remember the Floaters, well, the only thing they really did was float on. Actually, if you like R&B, they did a lot of great stuff, but very little of it got, beyond deep cuts on their albums, unfortunately. And Float On was like an introduction where they just each introduced Pisces, and my name is, whatever. And this is the Cheech and Chong version, only in the album, they're in a Chinese restaurant. And so they're ordering Chinese food, and it's, a hamburger, and my name is Larry. Uh, like Weird Al Yankovic, always good humor in food. Born in East LA, goddamn, I love this song so much. Says Cheech and Chong, it's Cheech solo, but wow, what a song. I think I never really needed Bruce Springsteen. Born in the USA after Cheech put that out. And an original Earache My Eye. This is long before the idea of Cheech and Chong being unleashed to do a movie ever came out. So, yeah, this is off the, we'll say third album, the wedding album, I'm fairly certain. And, no, I'm not certain. There's either the wedding album or I think it's wedding album. Anyway, and then a backup copy on green vinyl just in case. This was released Record Store Day about 10 years ago or something like that. This was my mother's record. The Three Cheers with Les Baxter's orchestra and chorus. Yes, the father of Exotica, the guy who Martin Denny recorded five Les Baxter albums from Rite of the Savage for Exotica. So yes, and he also arranged for Ema Sumac. Les Baxter was Roger Corman's kind of house a piece, movie soundtrack composer for American International Pictures, and I think of like what was it? The Denville Horror, I think, is I think that's a Les Baxter soundtrack. Anyway, here he is with the Cheers, and the Cheers included Bert Convy. Some of you may remember him from TV in the 70s. He was in some Burt Reynolds movies. He's one of those guys. And he hosted game shows and stuff. Anyway, Black Denim Trousers and Motorcycle Boots, which is a novelty record, but it is also a splatter platter. If you don't know what a splatter platter is, I kind of really get into those. The splatter platter is songs of teen death. And I had a loss many, many years ago and basically got through it by listening to splatter platters. It's like death really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me as, this real big abstract concept. But when you put it down into a 3-minute rock and roll song, I could kind of get it. And so I really got into collecting them and, kind of deconstructing what was going on in them. and that's one of them. I mean, like I said, it's a novelty, but it's still, if you're going to put in My Baby's Back and Homecoming Queen Has a Gun, I think you have to put that in too. And then Cher, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. One of her, when she was kind of offending everyone, period, there's this and Half Breed and Dark Lady and I forget what all. But, yeah, I always liked that one. Cher, excuse me, Cher in the early 70s was definitely on a roll. He's so fine. This is, I think, something that my mother got in a stack of records. I don't think it was hers, but I think it's something that she ended up with. And I stumbled upon it right around the time George Harrison was being sued by these guys for My Sweet Lord. So I've always kept it. Original Lori, Oh My Lover on the flip side, chiffons. Um, yeah, good stuff. Let's see. The Shylights, have you seen her? A hit from my youth, I always loved. The Cinders, Wind Up, and Hey Pretty Girl. This is on Pride Records Incorporated. It's a Tulsa company. Yeah. Where are we? Something East Young Street. Something 223 East Young Place. And Young, I want to say, is out in West Tulsa maybe. So I'm not real positive. Anyway, yeah, some Tulsa wax right there. Cinders were Tommy Hudson on lead guitar, Dennis Parrott on drums and vocal, Wayne Reed on bass, Frank Schaefer on guitar, Keats Tyler on organ, uh, and yeah, there was a picture sleeve with this thing too. So there's some Tulsa wax. I have some that's not in order. I've got some in a box over here that I need to also include in one of these. Patsy Cline, Crazy, that's a reissue from the late 70s, early 80s. Searchin', I'm fairly certain that's a reissue, but I'm not 100% positive. It's an old one. Coasters, kind of goes along with the Cheech and Chong, because, uh, I'm sorry, I'm getting there. Anonymous was anonymously trying to talk to me. Uh, anyway, yeah, that's it has. Oh, and it has young blood on the flip side. So Cheech and Chong, Cheech, Searchin' comes up in smoke when they drive uh, to Strawberries, I believe, and Youngblood. I knew that from Leon Russell live at Leon Live, and then also at Bangladesh to the Jumping Jack Flash Youngblood uh, um, um, medley. And Summertime Blues, Eddie Cochran, the man. I mean, Sid Vicious learned to play bass by doing speed. And, man, everyone's talked to me while I'm trying to do this. And so Sid Vicious learned to play bass by being locked in a room with an Eddie Cochran album and doing speed with a bass strapped around him. I've tried to teach people bass, and I think that might be a far more effective way of doing it than the way I tried to do it. You know who you are. All right. Nat King Cole, Sin for Me. And this is something I bought in the 80s reissue. They were playing it on KKC when I was in college. When I first got in college, my grandmother bought me a new Pontiac. Actually, it was a year old that the driving school in Pahuska had used, so it had like 50 miles on it. And I didn't have the money or time to get a stereo put in, so I ran around with, they were probably the last model with an AM radio, and listened to the last dying embers of rock and roll radio in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which I believe was KLI. And as they were turning into a talk radio station, um, uh, They were still playing music in between, sports talk and Paul Harvey and weather and all of that. But they started playing Send for Me, and for that first semester, they played it like every couple times a week. So I ended up buying that at Peach's. Night Shift, Commodores, Song About Marvin Gaye, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about. Show some respect. The Contours, uh, Do You Love Me? Motown Yesteryear reissue. I'm thinking this is from, I don't know, the reissues are from the 60s, I believe. And yeah, uh, maybe my favorite recording of all time, Do You Love Me? That's very primal. I think that's one of the masterpieces of rock and roll. Just a Little Misunderstanding by the Contours, also a really intense record. This is on the Gordy label. Uh, and I don't know if this is the correct cover, but it's one I had laying around. You Send Me, Sam Cooke, another one they used to play on KKC in those dying days, in the correct gold standard cover. This is what I bought it in when I bought it new, once again at Peaches in Tulsa. Man Behind the Mask, Alice Cooper on MCA, 1980 something, 6. And it's one of those that I bought at Starship, our local hippie record store, because it's Alice Cooper, by God, and it was a 45. Here we go, John Cornsoak. I've actually been in touch with John. What is this? The song is Just for You, and Under the Double Eagle. And Cornsoak is a politician now. I believe he's a councilman for the Cherokee Nation. And Lady Bird Jacob had some problems with him. I don't know the man myself. And what else do we have? The Imposter, Pills and Soap. This is Ellis Costello with Pills and Soap extended version on the flip. And I've never quite understood why, but Elvis Costello became the Imposter, and I know he put out at least 2 singles under that. This is one of them. I don't even know where this came from. I don't even know where I got this, but Couch actually played it. But it's a paper record. Good stuff. I need to look that up and listen to it. Coven, 110 Soldier, theme to Billy Jack. Uh, and they actually were a witch's coven, as I understand it. And they put out an album that is just super, super, super rare. It's not even on YouTube. There's like 1 or 2 tracks I think you can get, but not a band that is remembered. I love this record. This is In Need of a Friend and Mr. Flynn by the Cowsills. I know Susan Cowsill is related to Dwight Twilley or something. I've never quite gotten all the relationships right, but you know, I Mr. Flynn was one of those. This is one of those records I had when I was like 7. I don't even know where it came from. My mother probably found a bunch of records and gave them to me. I mean, at a garage sale or something. And I always loved that record. It was probably a pretty big influence on me. All right, let's get to the heavy stuff. Cramps, live, Sub Pop Records, Teenage Werewolf, bootleg, purple vinyl. Let's see. I purchased it in 2016. It's been bootlegged a lot. I'm not sure which one, which pressing, etc., etc., etc. I just know it's a 2016 or earlier pressing. This is also a bootleg by the Cramps. This is Hurricane Fighter Plane, sung by Red Crayola. And the flip is I'm Cramped. And this has Miriam Lina of the A-Bones and Kick the Magazine and Norton Records. Miriam's on the drums. I think this is the only Cramps with Miriam on it. I'm not sure that's actually available. This is really rare stuff. Brian and Miriam, 76, 77. And then this is one I bought in the 80s. This is just an interview picture disc. of the Cramps doing an interview. I think I got it from a Canadian dealer out of Gold Mine or one of those. Sunshine of Your Love, Cream, original 45, I think. I'm not sure. But vintage 45 by Cream, as we like to say. I Got a Name, Jim Croce, favorite Jim Croce song long before it was featured in Django Unchained. Just awesome song all around. Unfortunately, this is damaged. I used to listen to this. It's a paper record my uncle had, music to shave by. It's like Rosemary Clooney, Louis Armstrong, Bing Crosby, and the Hi-Los. And Bing's going around talking to people, and they're all talking about how smooth their razor is with whatever this is. Or I guess maybe that was it. You just had this to shave by. I'm sure it was a promo if you bought so many razors you could send off for this. It belonged to my uncle Ben McKee, and that's all I can tell you about it. Um, Culture Club, one of their masterpieces, Church of the Poison Mine, original American picture sleeve. I don't care what anyone says. That guy can sing. Chickaboom, Daddy Dewdrop. Hey, hold it down. Hold it down over there. Thank you. Chickaboom, Daddy Dewdrop, 1970s, bubblegum, Tarantino, K-Tel, whatever you want to call it. This one I found in a stack of records. The record case or the picture sleeve is not with it, but it's Dozen Girls by the Damned with Take That, Mine's a Large One, Landlord, and Torture Me. And this is not the Dozen Girls that's on Strawberries, I believe it is. This is a different recording, and we're on something records, Bronze Records, which I don't know my British Damned at all. I think all the Damned I've ever had is most of it's been American. Well, I just lied. Here's a British Damned record from the 80s. Thanks for the Night. I think that's British. Rodney Dangerfield, Twist and Shout. Yes, Rodney Dangerfield. Charlie Daniels, I've had this since I was a kid. Actually, covering up the artwork. I've had this since I was a kid. It's Charlie Daniels' Uneasy Rider. Kind of interesting because it's censored. They censor the word asses. So you'd be in like, Taco Hut in Bahuska, and this would be playing along. You'd hear all step and fetching like their whatever heads was on fire, and their beep was catching, and everyone would return and look at the jukebox. Nazi punks fuck off with a headband. Dead Kennedys. The real single. Awesome stuff. More Dead Kennedys. Kill the Poor. And that's obviously not an American pressing. I think it's British. Hole's too small for an American record. She's So Good by Dave D. Dozer, Beaky, Mick, and Titch, with Bend It also by Dave D. Dozier, Blinky, Mick, and Tick. And if you've seen Grindhouse, the Tarantino Rodriguez film, but the Tarantino section itself, Death Proof, Davy D, Dozy, etc., comes into play, but not this record. This is a different record. And here's another Davy D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titch record. This is Zabadak. And the sun goes down on the flip side. These are just things I found. This is a misprint, if I remember correctly. This is Disco Duck. One side is printed dark, one side is printed light, but they're actually on the wrong side. So this is the hit original part 1, and this is part 2. And yeah, it's one of those things I've had since it came out in '77 or whatever. This is interesting because the single actually belonged to my grandmother. This is Big Bad John, Jimmy Dean, but I lost the picture sleeve, and one of them turned up, and so yeah, I have my grandmother's record with a different picture sleeve. Hush, original American pressing, 1966, Deep Purple. Uh, Help Me, the Del Chords. I believe this is a second pressing. Not that valuable, but pretty intense doo-wop. The Delphonics, La La Means I Love You, Philly Groove Records. That's a good one. I need to come up with a new way of doing this. Hang on a second. It's very easy for this stuff to get out of order real fast if you're not careful, so bear with me just 1 second. I guess we could edit this out, but isn't this part of the magic of these homemade videos? Yeah, you know you're not watching NBC right now. All right, I think that's correct. All right, last round, last batch. Only a few left, I think. Now we got a few more. Yes. All right. Ruby Baby, Dion, Columbia Records. I don't know if that's the right cover, but that's what I have it in. I put these over here. The Denims, I'm Your Man. Flip side, Yeah Yeah. Forgot, that's not the Dorsey. Yeah, there's the Lee Dorsey. Sitting in my ya-ya, waiting for my ya-ya, And, yeah, just really good rock and roll. I'm Your Man, the Denims. Look it up on YouTube. You won't be sorry. Martin Denny, speak of the devil. Quiet Village, back with Llama Serenade on Liberty Records. This is a 1958 original pressing. And one of the most interesting nights I had was a friend took me to the Bamboo Lounge, which was a notorious gay bar here in Tulsa. And at this point, it was just, you know, kind of a VWF hall for old gay people. He went there for the price of the beer, I'm told. And regardless, I went along just for the ride, and he wanted me to hear that there was Quiet Village. This record, I mean, not this very copy, but Quiet Village was on the jukebox. And so we went in, and he ordered a pitcher of beer and popcorn, and we put some money in the jukebox, and Quiet Village started playing. And the owner got out some tap shoes and some maraca, the castanets, sorry, and sat there and did a whole routine and rhythm to Quiet Village with the shoes and the castanets. It's really amazing. Here's another one, Martin Denny, Volcano and Mytane. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Also on Liberty. Kentucky Woman and Hard Rose, Deep Purple, original pressing, 68. This is Pittman pressing, styrene actually. Recently used in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I believe. Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, original or edited version and live version edited. Also Spock Zarathustra, Diodato, I believe is how you pronounce his name. This is the funky jazz fusion version of what most people think of as the theme from 2001. Da, 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 da. That one. Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, Derringer, Rick Derringer. Awesome song. I've had that since it came out. Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon by Neil Diamond. Once again, also in a Tarantino film, this was used. This is the song that uh, uh, Mrs. Marsalis is listening to when she finds Vincent's coke and or finds Vincent's heroin, thinking it's coke and ODs. And but they only used Neil Diamond version. I forget which band it was that did that. Bo Diddley, back with I'm a Man. My mother had this. It got away from me, but I found another copy. I'm happy. Can't judge a book by looking at the cover, backed with I Can Tell. Rare, as it says. 1962. Not in the best of condition, but, if you want a copy, there it is. Skate Away by Dire Straits. I've never been a big fan of Dire Straits, but it's always been a favorite of mine. What's the flip side of that? Solid Rock. Divine. Get Cheap. The Great Divine Drag Queen Extraordinaire. One of his singles, her singles, sorry. I also have a Divine 12-inch. DNA, and this is also on clear vinyl. You and You Back with Little Ants. That was put out limited edition about, I don't know, 2015, 16, somewhere back in there. Walking to New Orleans, Fats Domino, Imperial Records with, I believe, the correct sleeve. Billy Don't Be a Hero, ABC Records, the Haywood, Bo Donaldson, the Haywoods. How can you forget that? This is another cool record my mother had. I think it actually might have been my cousin Dwayne's. Trimble by Malcolm Dodds. And just a really neat, cool track. It's one of those records that just makes an impression when you hear it. Mellow Yellow, Donovan, original pressing, picture sleeve. Hurdy-Gurdy Man, original pressing, Teen Angel on the back, Donovan. Old Black Water, Doobie Brothers, original pressing. And that belonged to John Peabody in Highland, California. If anyone knows John, tell him I've got his record. Doobie Brothers, China Grove, and Evil Woman on the flip side. That's a pretty good one. China Grove and mono and stereo promo copy. White label, not for sale, as it says. Wimaway, Jimmy Dorsey Orchestra. This is one of my mother's, and at the time I was kind of obsessed with the Tokens version of Wimaway when I was a teenager. When I stumbled upon this, I've kept it all this time. Hello, I Love You, The Doors, original pressing, Beat the Hell. I've had this since I was a child. Once again, I think my mother got it in a stack of records. Cover of Rolling Stones. I had the original pressing, but then that got away from me, and I more recently acquired this. And I found the record and I found the cover separately, but that is the correct cover for this single. Another Dr. Hook, Roland the Rudy and Gertrude the Groupie, and this is an original pressing. That's from the mid-70s. And one more Dr. Hook and the Medicine Shows, Sharing the Night Together, another one of their last big hits. Let's see if we can get that in there. Another record that got away from me, Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas. I had the original single, and for the life of me, I could not find a copy. And this 7-inch came out, 2016 Record Store Day. It's a 7-inch, 33 RPM with the picture sleeve. And both sides of stereo, even though it says it's not. But yeah, I had to replace my copy, and then after I replaced this and showed everyone I got a replacement for it, everyone's like, I would have given you my copy. Well, they didn't. No one stepped up to the plate, so they sold an extra one to me. Here's an original. Ian during the Blockheads on Stiff Records. Superman's Big Sister. And I'm fairly certain this is British, but yeah, it does have a big hole. And Dylan, Subterranean Lovesick Blues with She Belongs to Me on the flip side. Dylan, Positively 4th Street with from a Buick Six. I'm not a big Dylan fan, but when I see something like this, I do tend to pick them up if they're cheap enough. Rainy Day Women, 12 and 35 with Pledging My Time on the flip. And this I bought originally. This is and this is the cover is exceptionally rare as I understand it. But this is Hurricane, which is parts 1 and 2, and it's about it was a song about Reuben Hurricane Carter, who was convicted for a murder that it's very questionable if he did it. And then I found this. This is mono and stereo. This is Hurricane Part 1 in mono and stereo promo copy. So that's box 2. Hope you enjoyed it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more boxes here to go. God knows how many albums we have. This can go on a while. If everyone wants to see what I have in my collection, well, here you are. Wilhelm Merg. I'll be back next time. More videos will be coming, not just of me, but I'll actually be doing some stuff from Noise Fest that I've been promising for like a year before I got sick. And we'll be doing more of this stuff. Hope you're not going completely off your mind. Do not get completely bored. There are books, there are records, there are dogs. There's a million things you can do to make yourself happy. Anyway, I will talk to you soon.